Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Hope you're doing fine. As you know, due to COVID, we cannot perform like our routine classwork. So here we are with some video lectures, which may be certainly of some help. What you do at home, you take a pen and a copy and note down all important points while I be teaching you in this video. The first topic we're starting with is the circulatory system. You now pay the attention. You give me a sec before I position myself. So, मेरा बेटा जो पहला पॉइंट हमें सर्कुलेटरी सिस्टम में पढ़ना है वो ये है कि ये बनाया जी मैंने हार्ट और बेटा ये है ऑर्गन. You all know the function of the heart is to pump the blood to the organ. अब ये हार्ट कैसे सप्लाई करता है ब्लड ऑर्गन को? It does it in two ways. The number one मेरा बेटा is that in this way. जो ब्लड हार्ट के अंदर है ये via blood vessel, ये via blood vessel जाता है हार्ट से ऑर्गन के पास. This is number one way. And then number two way is that blood moves out of the heart to the organ, but without the involvement of the blood vessel. Blood directly heart से निकल के organ के पास जाता है without the help of the blood vessel. So what I mean to say is that there are two ways by which blood can move into the organ. The number one is via a blood vessel, and number two is directly without the help of blood vessel. This number one way that I have shown in the board, bete, we call it as closed type. And this number two that I have shown on the board, we call it mera beta as open type. So what I mean to say here is that our circulatory system is of two types. One is the closed type and another is the open type. The closed type, blood moves to the organ via a blood vessel, and the open type, the blood moves to the organ without the involvement of the blood vessel. What about humans? In humans, there is closed type of circulatory system, and you should be now knowing what does it mean that a circulatory system is closed type. So that's a point number one, that's basic of the circulatory system, that the circulatory system is of two types. One is the closed and another is the open type. The important part in the circulatory system is to discuss the human circulatory system. And what I tell about the human circulatory system is that is a lengthy one, is a big topic to discuss. So what I do here is that इस ह्यूमन सर्कुलेटरी सिस्टम को पढ़ने के लिए हम इस सारे टॉपिक को, ह्यूमन सर्कुलेटरी सिस्टम के टॉपिक को 3 सब टॉपिक्स के अंदर डिवाइड करेंगे, जिससे हमारा काम आसान हो जाएगा और लेसन इजीली याद भी रहेगा और इजीली अंडरस्टैंड भी होगा. तो सबसे पहला टॉपिक हम पढ़ेंगे ह्यूमन सर्कुलेटरी सिस्टम के अंदर बेटे, वो रहेगा टू डिस्कस द ब्लड वेसल. The second topic that we will discuss will be the blood, and the third thing is the heart. So when we deal with the blood vessel, when we complete the blood vessel, when we deal with the blood, we complete the blood, and when we deal with the heart, we complete the heart. By doing all these three things, dealing with these three subtopics, we will complete inshallah the entire circulatory system. So let's do it in stepwise. Let's firstly discuss the blood vessel. So firstly, let's discuss the blood vessel. And you should be knowing what is a blood vessel. It's nothing. It's a channel. It's a channel. It is a channel or a vessel through which blood flows. Through which blood flows. Through which blood flows. So you see, if there is a vessel through which water flows, we can call that vessel or vessel as a water vessel. If there is a vessel through which if there's a channel through which lymph flows, we call that channel as a lymphatic vessel. If there's a channel through which blood flows, call that channel as a blood vessel. So blood vessel is nothing but a channel, but a vessel through which blood flows. And then the study of blood vessels we call as angiology. So angiology is what? It is a study of the blood vessels. And you should be knowing that there are many types of blood vessels in the body. What are different types of blood vessels? I write that down. The number one beta is the artery. We will discuss each vessel separately, but you firstly remember how many types of blood vessels are there in the body. The number one is the artery. Number B is the arteriole. The number C is the capillary. The number D is the venule and vein. So what I want to say better is that we have four types of blood vessels. You got the artery, you got the arteriole, you got the capillary, you got the venule and the vein, and we be discussing each vessel separately. For now, we are discussing the angiology, the study of blood vessels. So we right now discussing the blood vessel, and I told you that there are four types of blood vessels. Let's discuss the number A. The number A is the artery. Every one of you have heard about the artery. Let's wait here for a second and you tell me, what is the artery? What have you heard about the artery? What have you learnt about the artery? Let's wait for a sec. Gather your minds and tell me, what is the artery? Do you know it? Okay, leave it. I tell you what's the artery. Imagine, beta, this is the heart. This is the heart. And we know heart has a blood. Now there are two vessels. One like this, let's label it as a 1. And another like this, let's label it as a 2. If you see, these are two blood vessels attached to the heart. But what you have to note is that the blood vessel 1 takes blood from the heart away from the heart. While as this blood vessel 2, what does it do? It again takes the blood. It again carries the blood, but takes the blood towards the heart. So beta, if you see, there are two types of vessels here. One, a vessel which is taking blood away from the heart, and another, a vessel which is taking blood to the heart. Remember this for sure. Any damn blood vessel in the body which take blood away from the heart is the artery. For example, in this scenario, the number 1 vessel which is taking the blood away from the heart is the artery, and number 2 which is taking blood to the heart is never an artery. So a vessel which takes blood away from the heart is the artery. This number 1 here is the artery. This is the artery. Fine? And yes, the other thing about artery is that the artery usually contain oxygenated blood. Artery contain oxygenated blood. And by saying oxygenated, I mean to say blood with the oxygen. You might have heard बेटा कि हमारे पास 2 टाइप ऑफ ब्लड होता है. एक ऐसा ब्लड जहां ऑक्सीजन होता है, ऐसे ब्लड को बेटा हम कहते हैं ऑक्सीजनेटेड, और दूसरा एक ऐसा ब्लड जहां ऑक्सीजन नहीं होता है, ऐसे ब्लड को हम कहते हैं डीऑक्सीजनेटेड ब्लड. इन द आर्टरी व्हाट इज ट्रू इज दैट the artery mostly contain the oxygenated blood. Yes, there are 2 exceptions to this rule. One is the pulmonary artery. And beta, the other is umbilical artery. So, yes, every artery does have the oxygenated blood except 2. There are two big exceptions to the rule. One is the pulmonary artery and another the umbilical artery. These are the two arteries in the body which does not contain the oxygenated blood, the blood with the oxygen. So what do they contain? This pulmonary artery and umbilical artery is the deoxygenated blood. Yes. Now, having said that artery takes blood away from the heart and artery mostly contain the oxygenated blood. Now let's see this artery in a more detail. This is the artery. If we take a cross section of the artery, how does it look? Let's show it here in this part of the board. So this is how artery looks on cross section. On cross section, the artery got the three layers. These are the three layers. The layer number 1, the outer layer, the layer number 2, the middle layer, and the layer number 3. And this is the lumen, the channel, the conduit through which blood flows. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the artery wall has got three layers, 1, 2, and 3. This outer layer we call as the tunica adventitia, or externa, tunica externa. This middle layer we call as tunica media, and this innermost layer, the layer number 3, we call as tunica intima. Can you see this? Let me put this in frame. Tunica intima or endothelium. So better, what I'm trying to say is that if you see the artery in cross section, you will find that the artery wall has got three layers: the outermost layer, the middle layer, and the innermost layer. And then in the center there's a lumen through which the blood flows. This outermost layer we call as a tunica adventitia or externa. TUNICAADVENTITIA or externa, EXTERNA. The middle layer we call it the tunica media, TUNICAMEDIA, and the innermost layer we call as tunica intima, TUNICAINTIMA, or we call it as endothelium, ENDOTHELIUM. So we got three layers of the wall of the artery. Having said that artery takes blood away from the heart. Artery usually contain oxygenated blood, and the artery wall has got three layers: the tunica externa, the tunica media, and the tunica intima. The next important concept regarding the artery is to understand the two pressures. You see here, this is the heart with the blood in it. This is a vessel, and now as it's taking blood away from the heart, I have no doubt in labeling this vessel as the artery. But you have to focus a bit here. As soon as the blood is pumped by the heart into this vessel, this blood exerts force on this vessel. It exerts force on this vessel. Initially, it is maximum, around 120 mm of Hg, and gradually it falls down, it dips down. This pressure exerted by the blood on the vessel dips down, falls down to a minimum level of 80 mm of Hg. So better, what I'm trying to say is that as soon as the blood moves out of the heart into the blood vessel, this blood exerts force on the artery wall. Firstly, this is maximum, then it falls down and it becomes minimum. The maximum force exerted by the blood on the artery wall, we call it as systolic pressure. systolic pressure. While as soon as the blood moves further out of the blood vessel towards the organs, the pressure keep on falling, and then it exerts the minimum force on the blood vessel. We call this minimum force as diastolic pressure. Diastolic pressure. So beta, we have two types of pressures. One is the SP and another is the DP. The systolic pressure and diastolic pressure. I again repeat this. As soon as the blood moves out of the heart into the blood vessel, or let it be the artery, the blood exerts the force on the artery wall. The force exerted by the blood on the artery wall is initially maximum. This maximum force exerted by the blood on the artery wall, we call it as a systolic pressure. And then gradually, as blood moves further towards the organ, the pressure exerted by the blood now on the vessel becomes less to a minimum level. This minimum level we call as the diastolic pressure. So we got two pressures, one is the SP and another is the DP. So बेटा हमने अभी सिस्टोलिक प्रेशर पढ़ा, जब मैंने कहा ये मैक्सिमम फोर्स है जो ब्लड वेसल पे अप्लाई करता है, और हमने अभी डायस्टोलिक प्रेशर पढ़ा जो मैंने बोला ये मिनिमम फोर्स है जो ब्लड वेसल पे अप्लाई करता है. अगर हम सिस्टोलिक प्रेशर और डायस्टोलिक प्रेशर का रेशियो लें, इसी रेशियो को, इसी डिवाइड को बेटा हम कहते हैं ब्लड प्रेशर. So blood pressure is actually nothing but the ratio between the systolic pressure and the diastolic pressure, and then we can like put the value of the systolic pressure, which is 120, and the value of the diastolic pressure, that is 80, and this is the BP. So the blood pressure normal value is 120 mm of Hg divided by 80 mm of Hg, because it's actually the ratio between the SP and the DP. Then sometimes what happens, there is a condition where blood pressure, yes, I say it is equal to the ratio of SP by DP. Sometimes the SP become greater than or equal to 140. There is a pressure, the maximum pressure that blood exerts become more than 120. It moves up to a level where it becomes 140 or greater than it, and the diastolic pressure becomes 90 mm of Hg. If this is a condition when the blood pressure rises to a ratio greater than or equal to 140 by 90, we call this condition as hypertension. So hypertension is a condition where the systolic pressure rises above 140 and diastolic pressure rises above the 90 mm of Hg. So that was about the blood pressure, which is now actually the ratio between SP and the DP. So let's move back to the thing where I told you that in the artery wall there are 3 layers. Let's see that diagram again. This is the artery wall. ये हमारा artery wall है. इसका outermost layer जिसको हमने कहा tunica externa, उसके बाद इसका second layer उसको हमने कहा tunica media, उसके बाद इसका थर्ड लेयर जिसको हमने कहा ट्यूनिका इंटिमा या एंडोथेलियम, और बीच में जो ये है ये चैनल, ये ओपनिंग, और दिस अ कंड्यूट थ्रू विच ब्लड फ्लोज. एक्चुअली दिस वी कॉल एज अ ल्यूमेन. We call it as a lumen. Sometime what happen in this lumen, there is deposition of like this calcium, there is deposition of cholesterol, there is deposition of fibers. This here, the calcium deposition, the cholesterol deposition, and the fibers deposition. We call this aggregation, this deposition of these substances in the lumen of the artery as the atherosclerosis. So what is the atherosclerosis? Is a disease, is a condition where the lumen of the artery become obstructed, become narrower due to deposition of the calcium salts, the cholesterol, and many other fibers. Sometimes what happens, this atherosclerosis, what I told you, the deposition of the calcium and cholesterol and the fat and the fibers in the lumen of the artery, sometimes this atherosclerosis atherosclerosis affects the heart artery. The heart artery. By saying heart artery, I mean to say coronary artery. Coronary artery is the artery which supplies blood to the heart itself. Yes, the function of the heart is to pump the blood to the different organs. That's true. वो सच बात है कि जो हार्ट है ये पंप करता है ब्लड बाकी ऑर्गन्स को, लेकिन हार्ट को खुद भी ब्लड चाहिए, हार्ट को खुद भी ऑक्सीजन चाहिए, और जो आर्टरी हार्ट को ही ब्लड सप्लाई करती है उस आर्टरी को बेटा हम कहते हैं कोरोनरी आर्टरी. So sometime what happens, there is a disease, there is atherosclerosis of this heart artery, of this coronary artery, and this disease, this atherosclerosis we call as CAD, or the full form is coronary artery disease. Coronary artery disease. So coronary artery disease is nothing but the atherosclerosis that has occurred in the coronary artery. The CAD, the coronary artery disease, then बेटा ये दो टाइप्स का होता है. चलो हम coronary artery को क्रॉस सेक्शन बनाते हैं. ये जी coronary artery का क्रॉस सेक्शन, ये जी coronary artery का क्रॉस सेक्शन. ये इसके 3 लेयर्स, 1 2 3. ये इसके 3 लेयर्स, 1 2 3. और जी ये ल्यूमेन, ये जी ल्यूमेन. सो एक कैट इस तरीका का है जहां एथेरोस्क्लेरोसिस हुई है और ल्यूमेन जो है ये ऑब्स्ट्रक्ट हुआ है. लेकिन अगर आप यहां देखोगे ल्यूमेन इनकम्प्लीटली ऑब्स्ट्रक्ट हुआ है बाय द डिपोजिशन ऑफ कैल्शियम एंड द कोलेस्ट्रॉल. एंड अनदर इज दिस टाइप ऑफ कैट where the lumen is completely obstructed. So I can say it's an incomplete CAD. And I can say this is the complete CAD. Beta, the incomplete CAD we call as the angina. And the complete CAD we call as MI, or what we say as myocardial infarction. MYOCARDIAL, myocardial infarction. INFARCTION, or what we call as heart attack. Heart attack. So beta, the CAD is further of 2 types. I have shown here the coronary artery. This is a coronary artery. This is a layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 1, 2, 3. There's a deposition of the calcium, cholesterol, fat and fibers in here in the lumen, in here in the lumen. But the difference is here's incomplete obstruction, here's a complete obstruction. If the CAD is a kind of thing where there is incomplete obstruction, we call such CAD as the angina. And if there is a CAD with a complete obstruction, we call such CAD as a myocardial infarction, or to be more precise, the heart attack. Yes. Regarding myocardial infarction and the angina, one important thing is that जब भी ये किसी बंदे को हो जाता है उस बंदे को पेन फील होती है इन द हार्ट रीजन, और जो ये पेन है ये रेडिएट होती है, ये पेन जो है ये परसीव होती है, ये फील होती है इन द लेफ्ट आर्म आल्सो. सो जब भी आपको एक बंदा ऐसा कहे कि मुझे हार्ट में पेन हो रहा है और ये पेन में लेफ्ट आर्म में भी जा रही है, आप उस बंदे को बोल सकते हो हॉस्पिटल जाने को, बिकॉज इट माइट बी एन अटैक ऑफ कैड, द कॉर्नरी आर्टरी डिजीज. सो दैट्स ऑल अबाउट द आर्टरी. Now let's more focus to discuss arteriole. We don't have to discuss much more in this topic except 2 points you see here. This is the heart and this is a blood vessel. Now I can say this blood vessel is an artery because it's taking blood away from the heart. When the artery moves further from the heart, it then branches out. These branches of the heart we call as the arteriole. So anyone asks you about the arteriole? Arteriole बस ब्रांच है आर्टरी के. और आप अगर डायग्राम को नोट्स करेंगे आप देखोगे कि जो रेडियस है आर्टरी का वो ज़्यादा है इन कंपैरिजन टू द रेडियस ऑफ द arteriole. Now, there's a famous equation which says that resistance to blood flow or resistance to any liquid flow as such, it is inversely proportional to radius raised power 4. So, what does this equation say? It says that जितना रेडियस ज़्यादा होगा उतना रेजिस्टेंस ब्लड फ्लो का कम होगा, और जितना रेडियस कम होगा उतना रेजिस्टेंस ज़्यादा होगा, बिकॉज ये इन्वर्सली आपस में रिलेटेड है. अगर आप देखोगे बेटा, आर्टरी का रेडियस ज़्यादा है, मतलब आर्टरी हैज़ गॉट द मोर रेडियस. सिंस आर्टरी हैज़ अ मोर रेडियस, इट विल मीन दैट रेजिस्टेंस इन द आर्टरी विल बी लेस, because they are inversely proportional. While as the radius in the arteriole is less. Since the radius is less, the resistance to the blood flow will increase, because again they are inversely proportional. It got the less radius, it will have the more resistance, and thus they say arteriole is also known as resistance vessel. Resistance vessel. So beta, if anyone asks you, आपको कोई पूछेगा आर्टीरियोल को हम रेजिस्टेंस वेसल क्यों कहते हैं, रीजन सिंपल सा है, क्योंकि आर्टीरियोल का रेडियस कम है. क्योंकि रेडियस कम है, रेजिस्टेंस ज्यादा होगा, क्योंकि रेजिस्टेंस और रेडियस का इनवर्स रिलेशन है आपस में. So that's why we call the arteriole by the other word, by the other thing, that it is also considered as the resistance vessel, because the radius in the arteriole is less. So बेटा, हमने आर्टरी और आर्टीरियोल डिस्कस किया. अब जो थर्ड वेसल है, that is a capillary. Right now we are discussing the blood vessels. We are discussing the angiology, the study of blood vessels, and there is a blood vessel named as the capillary. What capillary is actually, you see? So this is the heart, as I have already told you, which pumps the blood. Blood to what? Blood to the organ. It supplies the blood to the organ. So the first vessel which takes blood away from the heart, we name that vessel as the artery. Then this artery, it branches out. These are two branches. These branches we call as arterioles. This is the arteriole, this is the arteriole. Then this arteriole beta branches out. It branches out. These branches of the arterioles are known as capillaries. So what is a capillary? It is the branch of the arteriole. And then what is the arteriole? Is a branch of the artery. And you know what's the artery? A blood vessel which is taking blood away from the heart. So this is one definition of the capillary, which says a branch of the arteriole. But if you see more precisely to this diagram, हम कैपिलरी को और एक तरीके से डिफाइन कर सकते हैं. हम इसको इस तरह डिफाइन करेंगे, एक ब्लड वेसल जो ऑर्गन लेवल पे है, जो ऑर्गन लेवल पे जो ये ब्लड वेसल है, इस ब्लड वेसल को हम कैपिलरी कहते हैं. सो वी हैव टू डेफिनेशंस ऑफ कैपिलरी नाउ. वन, अ ब्लड वेसल which is a branch of the arteriole, and another blood vessel which is at the level of the organ. So any blood vessel at the level of the organ, you call that as the capillary. So that's the other definition of the capillary. और कैपिलरी के बारे में और एक बात इंपॉर्टेंट है जो आपको जाननी है, कि जो कैपिलरी का वॉल है, इसमें आर्टरी की तरह 3 लेयर्स नहीं है. आर्टरी के अंदर, अगर आपको याद होगा, मैंने आपको कहा था कि आर्टरी के वॉल के अंदर 3 लेयर्स होती है. देयर इज अ ट्यूनिका एक्सटर्ना, देयर इज अ ट्यूनिका मीडिया एंड द ट्यूनिका इंटिमा. बट इफ यू सी द कैपिलरी, देयर इज नो ट्यूनिका एक्सटर्ना, देयर इज नो ट्यूनिका मीडिया आल्सो, देयर इज ओनली ट्यूनिका इंटिमा. जो इसका वॉल है उसमें बस एक लेयर है. आर्टरी के वॉल में 3 लेयर है. क्यों है इसके वॉल के अंदर एक लेयर? इससे ये फायदा होता है, जो कैपिलरी के अंदर गैस है वो इजीली डिफ्यूज हो सकता है ऑर्गन के अंदर. वो easily diffuse हो सकता है टिश्यू के अंदर. जो कैपिलरी के अंदर न्यूट्रिएंट्स है, जो नरिशमेंट है, वो easily diffuse हो सकता है into the organ, into the tissue. So God in his majestic plans, what does he do? He didn't kept in the capillary wall 3 layers. Had there been 3 layers in the capillary wall, जो diffusion का process, जो gases exchange का process, जो gaseous exchange का process होता, वो बहुत tough हो जाता. So God in his majestic plan, he only kept only 1 layer in the wall of the capillary. The fourth vessel that we have to discuss is the vein. So बेटे जब कैपिलरी बनती है आर्टेरियोल से एज अ ब्रांच ऑफ द आर्टेरियोल, उसके बाद जो ये कैपिलरी है ये फ्यूज हो जाते हैं आपस में वापस. सारी कैपिलरीज दे कम टुगेदर, दे फ्यूज टुगेदर to form the blood vessel. This blood vessel that's formed out of the fusion of the capillaries, ऐसे blood vessel को बेटा हम vein कहते हैं. So anyone asks you to define the vein, is the blood vessel formed out of the fusion of the capillaries. So this is one definition of the vein, and another definition of the vein is that you see towards the board. The other definition of the vein is that it takes blood back to the heart. So there are two definitions of the vein. One, a blood vessel which is formed out of fusion of the capillaries, and another is that a blood vessel which takes blood to the heart. If you note in the definition, if you remember the definition of the artery, जब मैंने artery आपको पढ़ाया था, मैंने कहा कि artery takes blood away from the heart. Any damn blood vessel which does that, we call that blood vessel as the artery. But there is a blood vessel which does what? Which takes blood back to the heart. This blood vessel we can call as a vein. So we got two definitions of the vein. One, a vessel formed due to fusion of the capillaries. Another, a vessel which takes blood to the heart. So these are two definitions of the vein. And besides that, Betty, regarding the vein, is that an important point is that in vein there is mostly deoxygenated blood. That is the blood without the oxygen. मैंने आपको ऑलरेडी बोला है कि हमारे पास दो किस्म के ब्लड होते हैं. एक ऐसा ब्लड जिसको हम ऑक्सीजनेटेड कहेंगे और एक ऐसा ब्लड जिसको हम डीऑक्सीजनेटेड कहेंगे. जो ऑक्सीजनेटेड ब्लड है उसके अंदर ऑक्सीजन होता है, while as deoxygenated blood जो है वहां पे ऑक्सीजन नहीं होता है. If you see the artery mostly have the oxygenated blood, but if you see the vein mostly have the deoxygenated blood. Yes, like the artery, there are two exceptions in the vein. There are two veins which does not contain the deoxygenated blood. One beta is the pulmonary vein, and another mere bete is umbilical vein. So these are the two veins which are the veins but does not contain the deoxygenated blood but contain the oxygenated blood. The function of the vein is that it takes the blood from the body towards the heart. So it's a blood vessel which takes blood to the heart, and in this function it is somehow assisted by some gates, some valves that are present in the vein. के अंदर कुछ valves present होता है, कुछ दरवाजे present होते हैं जिनको बेटा हम कहते हैं semilunar valves. जो ये semilunar valves है ये vein को help करता है ब्लड को एक डायरेक्शन में बॉडी से लेके ब्लड जाना चाहिए बस हार्ट के अंदर, और ये इसको हेल्प करता है वेन को. कैसे? अगर ब्लड अटेम्प्ट करेगा टू मूव इन द अपोजिट डायरेक्शन, ब्लड चाहेगा कि मैं हार्ट से दूर जाऊं, मैं हार्ट की ओर ना जाऊं, उस सूरत में क्या होता है, जो ये सेमिलुनर वैल्व है ये क्लोज हो जाता है. It does not allow the blood to move to backflow in the opposite direction of the heart. So this is how the semilunar valve assists the vein in taking blood all in one direction, that is towards the heart.